If you are sick and tired of being told by your doctor that everything is normal when you know that it is not, because you still have brain fog, you've got lack of motivation, you're completely exhausted no matter how much sleep you get, you can't focus, it maybe takes you longer to even get simple tasks done, forgetfulness is always there, and you're just simply burnt out, then this video is for you. Today we're going to talk about two common yet often misunderstood conditions. We're talking about brain fog and adrenal fatigue. I'm Dr. Jessica Swanson, and I specialize in helping people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who refuse to accept that their health and performance must decline with age. And so through cutting edge health and science, we've really optimized people's internal biomarkers such as gut health, hormone levels, and just overall metabolic function so that we can be at our best when it matters most. So brain fog and adrenal fatigue are really terms that you might have heard around, but what do they actually mean? And more importantly, how can you overcome them so you can start to feel like yourself again? So I'm gonna break it down here in this video, so stick with me because there's a lot of information packed inside of here. So I wanna start by sharing a client. Let's just call her Jane, okay? She was experiencing some severe brain fog and she actually ended up having adrenal fatigue. And so Jane is a busy professional. She is 43 years old. She came to me completely feeling exhausted. She noticed that she was unable to focus at work. It was taking her longer to get her work tasks done. And then to top it all off, when she would get home at the end of her workday, she was extremely overstimulated and was so short with her kids that it was making her feel really depressed. And so after getting some real answers and going through some comprehensive testing and working together on her diet, her sleep, her micronutrient levels, and her stress management, she started to notice like a significant improvement in just a few weeks. It's like the fog had literally lifted and she got her life back. And so I want to just tell you that story so that you actually know that there's hope out there. And I want you to think like your body is like a smartphone, right? If you're constantly using apps without ever charging it, the battery in your phone's gonna quickly drain down. And so you need to plug it in and recharge it, right? The same goes for your body. You need to give it the right fuel and give it the right rest so that your body can keep running efficiently for you. So brain fog is not necessarily a medical condition, right? But rather it's a symptom of various underlying issues. So oftentimes it's that feeling of like mental confusion, lack of focus, forgetfulness that makes like even like the little easiest tasks super challenging. So I have people like, they oftentimes come to me into my office and they're like, I just feel like I'm living in a fog. Like I can't make decisions like I used to. Things are taking me longer. I just feel like I'm living in a fog. And that's what's happening inside your mind. And so brain fog can really be caused by several factors. Number one, poor nutrition. So diets that are high in sugar and processed foods, hello, living in America, we have a really hard time getting around that, right? It can lead to these inflammation and poor brain function, right? Lack of sleep. So if you get inadequate sleep, and when I talk about sleep, I don't just mean hours in bed. You also have to look at like the quality of your sleep too, right? That has a direct correlation to how your brain health is and your cognitive functions. Chronic stress, right? We all live in a very stressful environment. We can't help it sometimes, but when you live in a stressful environment that's been prolonged for a very long period of time, this can increase cortisol levels, which we all know can definitely interfere with our brain function. Gut health issues. Oftentimes people don't even look at this area, but there is a direct correlation from your gut to your brain. And when your gut is off, it can definitely lead to systemic inflammation, affects the brain. And so these two things have a very symbiotic relationship. And so we need to make sure that we're looking at our gut. Hormonal imbalances. So changes in hormones, right? Especially during menopause, if you have thyroid issues, these all are things that can affect our brain function. And then the last two things that oftentimes get overlooked is dehydration. Oftentimes, even mild dehydration can impair our cognitive abilities. And then certain medications. So we have to just take a look overall at somebody's overall health because there are some medications that can have side effects that can definitely cause brain fog. So that just kind of wraps up the whole brain fog thing. And I want to shift our focus to adrenal fatigue here just for a second, but I'll come back to brain fog so we can understand the difference between the two. But adrenal fatigue is a little bit more I would say controversial, right? It's not necessarily recognized as a formal medical diagnosis, but there's often times when people come to me and they're just super frustrated because they keep hitting a brick wall when they go to their medical provider. Your symptoms are real, and I want you to understand that you need to find a provider that's going to actually listen to you and actually help understand what's going on and help things make sense for you. So your adrenal glands are these little glands that are located on top of your kidneys. And these glands produce hormones like cortisol and other things that help us manage stress. And so when you're under a chronic state of stress, these glands get overworked, and these can start to lead to things like burnout or extreme exhaustion. And so some really, other causes of adrenal fatigue, like I said, chronic stress, right? And oftentimes this is happening that people don't even really realize it because they're just used to living in a state of stress. And so chronic stress is one definite thing that leads to excessive production of cortisol, which definitely wears out the adrenal glands. Poor diet, right? If you are missing some essential nutrients, this can impair how our adrenals are actually functioning. Lack of sleep, you're noticing some common threads here, right? Inadequate rest definitely affects the adrenal glands' ability to recover. Overuse of caffeine. I talk to people all the time that they're just like living off of caffeine. They have their morning coffee, they have their afternoon coffee, they have their evening coffee. They're having caffeine 24/7 just to keep up with the exhaustion, right? And on top of that, when you start to use things like sugar or other stimulants, this can have a huge strain on our adrenal glands. The other thing we look at is chronic infections. Have you had a chronic infection or a chronic illness? These things can also lead to adrenal exhaustion. And then on top of it, we talked about chronic stress, just like living in a stressful environment, but then we also have that emotional stress as well. This can also impact our adrenal fatigue as well. So how do we determine if we have brain fog or adrenal fatigue, or maybe you have both, right? So it's essential to recognize your symptoms. You have to start to continue to jot down and make note of your symptoms and be your own advocate. You need to be your own advocate and find a healthcare provider that's actually going to listen to you. And if you keep hitting a brick wall, please reach out. I'm more than happy to do a free consultation with you to get you pointed in the right direction. So, testing for brain fog. There's some self-assessments that we'll have our clients do. There's some cognitive testing that we have our clients do. And of course, just really getting a full picture of what's happening with your health, because that's really, really important. When we're looking at adrenal fatigue, we definitely are looking at symptoms that people have. There's a symptoms checklist that we have our clients fill out. There's saliva testing that we can do that we measure our cortisol at different times of the day. We do some comprehensive blood testing, some blood panels. We look at hormone levels, including our cortisol, including DHEA, including our thyroid, including other markers such as glucose and electrolytes. These are important markers to be checking as well. Don't just look at one thing. We have to look at the whole entire picture. And then also we do like a stress response test as well with our patients that we do suspect this in. So it is really, really important that you do speak with a healthcare provider that's going to actually listen to you, but also rule out anything else that could be underlying, that could be also masking some of this, right? Oftentimes we see things like thyroid issues, some micronutrient deficiencies, and of course, if we need to refer out for mental health concerns, we will do that as well. So great, now I know to test. I know that there's hope out there. If you're somebody who's like, I fall in some of these categories, doc, now what do I do? There's definitely some effective strategies that we like to use with some of our patients to help combat some brain fog and some adrenal fatigue. So we really look at nutrition. We focus on an anti-inflammatory diet. We want to bring down the amount of inflammation. So foods like leafy greens, berries, lean proteins. We want to remove as much sugar and processed foods, because this contributes to more inflammation, which is going to contribute to more hormonal imbalances, right? On top of that, from a nutrition standpoint, we want to make sure that we hydrate. Not only do we drink plenty of water, but we also will encourage adding electrolytes as well. And then sleep. We really, really, really do a lot of time focusing on quality of sleep, making sure that we're not just getting enough sleep, but we're also getting the right amount of sleep, and we're actually using that sleep to recharge, right? And so making sure that we're creating a really good bedtime routine, because consistency is key, right? Not just getting enough time in bed, but also creating consistent sleep habits as well. Even on the weekends. I know it's hard, but even on the weekends. From a stress management standpoint, we want to really, really focus on improving our CO2 tolerance. So we do a deep breathing exercise with our patients and we call it box breathing. You may have heard of this before, but you can imagine yourself drawing a box and you're gonna start with some breath work and you're gonna breathe in. I like to just maybe start with 4 or 5 seconds. So let's just say we're starting with 4 seconds. We're gonna breathe in for 4 seconds. We're gonna hold our breath for 4 seconds. We're gonna breathe out for 4 seconds and then hold for 4 seconds. So you're drawing a box and you're doing 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and you'll do that 4 times. And you'll do that, 5, 6, 8 times throughout your day, and that's gonna definitely improve your CO2 tolerance. Getting time outside, right? Mother Nature is a great stress reducer, right? And then of course, if you need to do any type of professional help, any type of counseling to manage your stress, we will definitely recommend that as well. Gut health. We mentioned that gut health can be a huge contributor. So we wanna make sure that we're testing our gut health first and foremost, so we're not just guessing, but then we wanna make sure that we're supporting our gut health with the right types of foods, the right type of probiotics, the right type of fermentation of vegetables as well. And then, if there's any types of foods that we find that might be irritating us, we wanna eliminate those right away, right? From a hormonal standpoint, we wanna look at maybe some adaptogenics, right? Consider things like ashwagandha, maybe rhodiola. Those are certainly things that we can help support our adrenal health as well. And then exercise. We'll look at your exercise activity, and things that I can just generally recommend without knowing you personally is, making sure that you're getting a brisk walk in. We're getting outside walking for 30 minutes a day, taking in the sunshine at the same time. We might encourage some strength training into your exercise routine as well, because that will help support our overall metabolic health. But again, if we're in a state of stress, we want to make sure that we bring that down. So maybe we need to adjust our exercise routine as well to make sure that our body has time to recover properly. So again, if you are considering supplementation to support your adrenal health, there's definitely some that I'll recommend. But again, without knowing you 100%, it's really hard to just make an actual recommendation without knowing your exact health history. So there are some great supplements from Thorne. There's one called Adrenal Cortex. This is going to help really provide pure adrenal cortex tissue, which helps support our adrenal functions. Like I said earlier, rhodiola or ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb. There's maybe certain specifics on which one you should have. Reach out to me, I'm happy to help you with that. Oftentimes we see B complex because B vitamins are gonna support our adrenal glands as well. They also help with energy production. And then lastly, there's a vitamin C and flavonoid that I might recommend as well, because this is gonna help with adrenal hormone production as well. Like I said before, and I've always say it on my videos, is please, please, please consult with a healthcare physician before starting any new supplement regimen, because we want to make sure that it's the right one for you. Remember, you deserve to feel your best at any age. So if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more health tips. Don't forget to check out our Instagram for daily inspiration. And if you're really serious about taking control of your health and you want personalized guidance, reach out to us directly. I'd love to help work together with you to make this all make sense for you. And until next time, take care and stay healthy.